I'm Doug Flynn, and welcome to Kentucky Life. We're celebrating Women's History Month with some of our recent stories about notable Kentucky women. On the 100th anniversary of women achieving the right to vote, it shouldn't surprise anyone that several women from Kentucky were leaders in the suffrage movement. Until now, their stories have been mostly overlooked. The Votes for Women Trail is correcting that, one marker at a time.
What we are learning is the story of how thousands of women and men across America worked on the suffrage movement, and it's never been documented. You cannot find this history anywhere. We have created a national Votes for Women's Trail, and the purpose of this trail is to document the suffrage sites across America where the suffrage movement took place. And we put it in a database on our computer so anyone can go access it. And it is so exciting. We have over 1,000 suffrage sites on our database, and our goal is to have over 2,020 by 2020. The National Votes for Women's Trail is having a much larger impact than I ever dreamed possible. Because I was the president of the organization and it was kind of like a pilot project, Kentucky's been the first state to get the Pomeroy markers. We got the first one for Susan Look Avery, who was the founder of the Louisville Suffrage Association and also the founder of the Women's Club of Louisville. We had the second one for Dr. Mary Britton, who is an African-American physician from Lexington, the only woman physician in Lexington. And she spoke in Danville at the St. James African-American Episcopal Church in 1887 to the Kentucky Colored Teachers Association on why women should have the right to vote. And she was also really good friends with Ida B. Wells. Well, this church, which was built in 1884, was thrilled to know this history because they didn't know anything about Dr. Mary Britton there. And they just really appreciated that people cared. I mean, they treated me like I was giving them $1 million. I'm telling you, they're that happy that this contributions of this woman at their site, their church, was being recognized and people cared about.
I guess I was so excited. I told my wife, and I said, I can't, wait to let the people know at church what's going on about this history, just to know that this young lady, Black African-American, came and spoke on behalf of women's suffrage in that time era. Really blew my mind. Because back then, a woman, especially a woman of color, is supposed to be quiet. But she, with wisdom, spoke.
Then we put one up in Richmond, Kentucky at Whitehall for Mary Barclay. Mary Barclay was the oldest daughter of Cassius Clay, and she was brilliant. In 1884, she testified before the U.S. House Judiciary Committee on why women should have the right to vote. I think she was the first woman ever to be allowed to testify before Congress. And she was also president of some of the national suffrage associations. She brought Susan B. Anthony to Kentucky and other great leaders. So Kentucky was really a strong suffrage state for, considering the South. And then we had this one for Josephine Henry, and then the next one's going to be for Madeline Breckinridge, who was from Lexington.
I feel a tremendous energy here in Kentucky. You've taken a lead in putting these roadside markers up. You're honoring a woman that, although she was a local figure, she also served as a national figure. And so it's an honor for me to come here and celebrate Josephine Henry, but also the fact that she was involved with the women's suffrage movement. She was involved with Kentucky's Marital Women and Property Act, and she was involved with the Women's Bible. So although she lived in this house right here, it's amazing. I get goosebumps to think that how she connected with my great-great-grandmother, who is Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
Sing with the spirit that will help the cause along. Sing it as we ought to sing it cheerily and strong, giving the ballads to the ladies.
So to be in the power of a site, being in the front yard of Josephine Henry's home and feeling her presence and the threshold of her walking in and out the door. It's a very spiritual experience that she was a real person living in rural Kentucky and making a national impact. We have state coordinators in every state, and their job is to learn and document their history, and that's how it is working. So all the state coordinators are part of our national network of learning this history. The impact we're having on doing this research is adding to the body of knowledge of American history that's never been done before. You know, we know who, Washington, the presidents and the great generals, but we don't know about this contribution that really added 50% of the population to be full citizens. That is huge. And it's relevant today. It's like, oh, who cares what happened, a long time ago. Well, this is really huge in the whole issue of current voting rights. The right to vote is the right which you gain all other rights, or you lose all other rights. Well, my hope is that when people learn this history, that they'll be inspired to be actively engaged in their communities at whatever level that they feel comfortable with, and that they will want to learn more, to motivate them to learn more, and make them, really value voting rights and the importance, and understand why it's up to everyone to be engaged. You just can't depend on other people to take care of you. It's your responsibility.
Equal rights, our motto is we're loyal to the end, giving the ballot to the ladies.
The suffrage women, they had a really good time. This was not like, oh no, we have to write another. They had fun. And so we're having fun. We're gonna have a good time. Let the good times roll. How can we stir it up again? What else can we stir up?